Today is Mother's Day, and although every day is a Mother's Day, I'm going to take this opportunity to narrate stories about everyday garden variety mothers who do great things for their children day in and day out. These stories are real life stories narrated by women in their own language and then translated to English. This is my small tribute to all mothers all over the world on this Mother's Day. Hello, you are listening to the podcast Something Old, Something New. I am your host, Rohini Abhyankar. Your mother, like my mother, is an ordinary person's ordinary mother. No books are written on her, no songs are composed for her. And yet, she is Hirkani who climbed down a steep mountain to feed her baby. And yet, she is Jizau who raised a king to establish a Hindu kingdom in the face of adversity. Your mother, like my mother, is an ordinary person's ordinary mother. She did not slay any demons, she did not swallow any oceans, and yet she is as valorous as Bhavai, who slayed the demon Kukkur, and as brave as Zogai, who killed the Rakshas Mahishasur. Your mother, like my mother, is an ordinary person's ordinary mother. She did not hold a court, she did not fight in battles, and yet she is Ahilyabai, who established her family dynasty. And yet she is Lakshmi Bai, who bravely fought the British enemy. Your mother, like my mother, is an ordinary person's ordinary mother. When I grieve, her eyes water, and out flows love and compassion. When she stands by me, God stands with me. I bow to her again and again through lives past, present, and future. For your mother is like my mother, is an ordinary person's ordinary mother. Today I'm going to read three narrations. These are from my blog thousandfullmoons.blogspot.com. The link to the blog is given below, where you can read these and other stories narrated by other octogenarians about their life and things they have cherished. The name of the blog is Thousand Full Moons because when in their 80s, around 81, an individual witnesses 1000 full moons. The first story is story number 124 on the blog. It's titled I Vowed to Educate My Children. This is a story of octogenarian Savitri Yashwanta Tirak. She says, I was born in Aravali, a small village in Konkan. The place is known for its hot springs. Although my father was a bhikshuk is a person coming from a priestly family who supports himself and his family by asking for alms. Although my father was a bhikshuk, he was a very strong man. He could easily plough a field if something were to happen to the bull. My mother was very frail and understandably so. We were seven sisters and five brothers. There were four more, but they did not make it. My father jokingly referred to us as the cricket team. I don't even remember ever taking a bath at home. We always went to the river to wash up. I would work in the fields, tend cows, etc. I studied up to 7th grade and never studied any English. After I got married, I had four children of my own. Although my father in law was a lawyer, he was never good at collecting fees, particularly from his poor clients. As a result, he did not have much money and had to work really hard and long hours. As a result, his children's education got neglected. Within 1 year of my marriage, I swore that no matter what happened, I would educate my children. I started tutoring first to fourth graders. I would gather the neighborhood kids and make them memorize multiplication tables and Ramraksha. Ramraksha is a stotra chanted in praise of Sri Ram. This helped all the children and gave them good sanskars. Sanskars are part of a good cultured upbringing. I am happy to tell you that all my kids are well educated. My youngest stood first in the BCom batch. BCom is Bachelor of Commerce. He could not clear the CA exam, CA is Chartered Accountant exam, the first time. He fell short just by 1 point. That was the year his father had passed away. But I stood by him like a rock. He worked and studied and cleared his CA exam on the second attempt. That gave me a great deal of satisfaction. The next story is story number 116 on the blog. The heading is My Eyes Were Searching for My Son and Then I Saw Him. This is a story of octogenarian Nirmala Boradkar. She says, my son Prasad went to US in 1991 after completing his master's degree from IIT Powai, Mumbai. For his further studies, he went to Ohio State University and then went on to San Bernardino, California. He could not come to India even for a short visit as there was some technical problem about his visa, and so after waiting for 6 long years, I decided to go to San Bernardino even though I was terrified of air travel and was afraid to travel alone. I decided to tag along with my sister in law who was going to San Francisco. Getting a visa for me was an experience in itself and worth recounting here. As we waited from morning till evening in the US consulate. After a long wait, my turn came and I was asked why I wanted to go to the US. And I plainly told the man that I want to see my son, whom I have not seen for 6 years. Hearing this, the interviewer told me that it was a poor reason to go to the United States. For a moment, I was taken aback, but the next moment he said he would grant me the visa for 6 months, and I was relieved. We had gone to Mumbai in the early morning and returned to Pune late in the night, but we returned happy. A very hectic time followed as I wanted to carry the whole of India with me in my bags, from chaklis that my son liked to pohe that he loved. He was single, so I also wanted to carry some pots and pans. My bags were full to their capacity. And then the day came. My flight was Mumbai, London, and London, San Francisco. So on April 22nd, 1996, we boarded the plane for London. I was at ease as all I had to do was follow my sister in law. We got into the plane and were seated, and as the plane readied for the takeoff, I must have prayed to 1,000 gods in the Indian pantheon, and if I had known of any other gods from any other religion, I would have prayed to them as well. I clutched the seat handle with my hand with all my might and did not release the grip till the plane was settled in a horizontal cruise. Then I gradually became aware of my surroundings. We reached San Francisco sometime at night and were duly picked up from the airport. My sister in law was used to all this, but I was a bit dazed. In the morning, I got a call from my son Prasad and had a long chat with him. Later in the evening, I was to see him, and I could feel the tension leave my head. Time flew, and I was at the airport again. This was a short flight of an hour or so. I boarded the plane and felt the tension coming back again as I was alone, but I also felt a sense of relief since I was going to see Prasad in an hour's time. I tried to relax. We landed at Ontario as scheduled. Ontario was a small airport and we had to walk to the airport building. As I walked, my eyes were searching for Prasad, and as I reached the gate, I saw him standing and waving at me. I now was completely relaxed and happy. When I reached the gate, he came forward and hugged me and said, Ai, tu Alice, mother, you came. Seeing him, touching him, and feeling the nearness of him gave me the joy that only a mother can understand. It is said that a special moment comes in everyone's life, but it comes only once in a lifetime. And for me, this was that moment. The last story is entry number 81 on the blog. It's called I Trained Him So He Could Stand on His Own 2 Feet. This is a story of octogenarian Pramila Dattatre Lele. She says, I was born in 1928 in a small village called Khurda near Ratnagiri. I don't remember the date, but I will be 85 in February. There were three of us. My brother passed away when he was really young, and my older sister died about 20 years ago. My father used to work at a ship dock. I received formal education till the 7th grade in a school at Ratnagiri. I got married in 1946. My husband worked as an electrician for a company called Lalchand Hirachand. Things were expensive that time too, but not as expensive as these days. You won't believe, but our salary was only 100 rupees per month at that time. Then she goes on to talk about her son, whom she helped so he could stand on his own 2 feet. She goes on to say, my son Chanda here had an accident when he was young. He fell and hurt his head. This affected his mental abilities. I wanted him to learn. I used to teach him everything when he started school. But by 4th grade, his teacher asked me not to send him to school anymore, for he found it increasingly difficult to cope with his schoolwork. At that point, I decided to teach him all the household work so he could stand on his own 2 feet. I taught him all the kitchen work, keeping the house in order, shopping for groceries, etc. As a result, he was able to get a job in a kitchen, and today he is independent. All my other boys are also well settled and doing well. I am content. So, my friends, these are the stories of three ordinary everyday mothers. No further commentary is needed. The stories speak to the greatness of these souls. This is my humble tribute to my mother, for your mother, like my mother, is an ordinary person's ordinary mother. Let me know how you liked today's episode and do visit the Thousand Full Moons blog and contribute to it if you can. I will stop here for now. Namaste, till the next time.